We've got some seriously spicy NBA drama to unpack today, and guess who's at the center of it? None other than the rising star Anthony Edwards. Now, you might be thinking, hold up, didn't the Timberwolves have their best start ever this season? Well, there's a plot twist in the making, and it involves a certain defensive maestro we all know as Rudy Gobert. Remember when folks were shaking their heads at the Timberwolves for snagging Gobert last year? Yeah, that disappointment is now like yesterday's news because guess what? The T-Wolves are making a statement, and it's all about building a team that's not just defensively solid, but has offensive stars shining like the North Star in the Minnesota sky. Gobert is locking it down on defense, Jaden McDaniels doing his thing, and the versatile big Karl-Anthony Towns throwing his weight around. It's a defensive symphony, right? But hold on, we're not done. Throw in some depth with Naz Reid, and on top of it all, the #1 star himself, Anthony Edwards. Now, before you get all pumped up, let's dive into the nitty-gritty. Our man Anthony is, without a doubt, a force to be reckoned with. But, and there's always a but, there's a teeny tiny flaw that's got me scratching my head. This flaw might just be a stumbling block on the Timberwolves' path to championship glory. Now, we know dropping a bomb like that is huge. Remember when everyone gave Minnesota flack for trading Gobert? Yeah, that wasn't just some random move. It was a chess move. Why? Because Minnesota has been down this road before. Every time they snag an elite young player, the team around him turns into a sinking ship. Picture a talented young gun ready to take the league by storm, only to be shackled by a miserable team. It's like deja vu for Minnesota fans. They've been the poster child for sports misery, racking up more 60-loss seasons than playoff appearances. Ouch! Let's take a trip down memory lane. The last time the Timberwolves had a victory dance was a conference finals win a whopping 20 years ago. And what happened after that? A string of promising young stars left hanging, victims of a team that couldn't get its act together. It's like the basketball gods played a cruel joke on them. So why are we pointing fingers at Anthony Edwards? Well, he might be the missing link in this puzzle. Don't get me wrong, the guy is a beast on the court, but history has a funny way of repeating itself. Is Anthony going to break the curse, or are we in for another round of promising star meets disappointing team? So, we've seen the likes of Garnett, Jefferson, Love, Rubio, Towns, and Wiggins don the Timberwolves jersey, and each one brought their own flavor to the court, but there was one constant hiccup: defense. It didn't matter if they had Zach LaVine doing acrobats, Jimmy Butler bringing that Chicago grit, or D'Angelo Russell dropping silky smooth threes. The Timberwolves' defense was like a leaky faucet, always near the bottom in the NBA. But then, 2022 happened. T-Wolves said, enough is enough. Playoffs weren't just a distant dream. They became a reality, and not just any playoffs. They were packing a top 15 offense and defense punch. Now that's the kind of double threat you'd expect from a team looking to make some serious noise. In the spotlight of this newfound success was our man, Anthony Edwards. Picture the first playoff game on the road against the 2-seed Grizzlies, and the kid drops a whopping 36 points. The only other under-21 player to do that? None other than Derrick Rose. Minnesota wasn't about to let another young star slip through their fingers, and that offseason, they went all in. 5 players and 5 first-round picks later, the Timberwolves welcomed the 7-foot defensive maestro, Rudy Gobert. Sure, they might have raised a few eyebrows with that trade, but who cares? This was about breaking the curse, about finally tasting victory. The start of the next season was a bit rocky, 10 wins and 11 losses, including defeats to the Jazz, Wizards, and Spurs. Twice. The home crowd wasn't thrilled, and Gobert found himself in the crosshairs of some booing. In true Gobert fashion, he let the crowd know that if they weren't there to support in the tough moments, they might as well stay home. Now that's a spicy response, Rudy. Fast forward, and the team faced a hurdle. Karl-Anthony Towns got sidelined with an injury, pretty much bench-bound for the entire year. Gobert, in the absence of Karl, found himself in some on-court altercations, even taking swings at his own teammates. Drama alert! But they weathered the storm, and now they're finally hitting their stride, playing the way they were destined to play. Gobert is back to being the defensive juggernaut, getting these standing ovations. The crowd might have given him some heat, but now they're showering him with love. But here's the kicker, the game changer, the X Factor. The superstar leap from none other than Anthony Edwards. This dude didn't just take a step, he took a leap that could rival Superman. It all started in the summer with Team USA, where Jalen Brunson was supposed to be the alpha dog, the leader, But guess who stole the spotlight? Our man, Anthony Edwards. One practice was all it took for him to turn the tables. He dominated so hard against the first team that even Steve Kerr, the man who knows a thing or two about identifying a special player, had to throw in the towel and say, nope, Ant is the alpha. Now you might be wondering what could possibly be his problem. Well, let's rewind to his playoff series against the Nuggets last year. On the surface, the box score looked like something out of a basketball fairy tale. 32 points, 5 assists, 2 steals, 48% shooting from the field, and 35% from deep. Those numbers are Michael Jordan-esque. But Ant is not just an offensive powerhouse. He flips the switch and turns into an all-NBA defender whenever the team needs it. Take, for example, a crucial moment in Game 3 against the Nuggets. The Timberwolves were about to take a 2-0 series lead, and Karl made a lazy pass. It looks like the beginning of a nightmare with Kyrie about to bury them, but out of nowhere, like a basketball superhero, Anthony Edwards pulls off a chase-down LeBron-type block, snags the board, Euro steps between Jeff Green, and scores. It was a wake-up call for the entire team, a moment that turned the tide. The kid's got a killer mentality, especially in those nail-biting big-game moments. I'm talking Kobe and Jordan vibes, that killer instinct that sets the greats apart. Now, here's where it gets tricky. The average age for an all-time breakthrough in the NBA is 27. Ant? Well, he's 22. So we're talking about a few more years of learning the ropes in the biggest moments. But the Timberwolves don't have time. When Ant hits 27, the team needs to make a decision because, well, let's be real, things will look completely different. Right now, they've got Karl-Anthony Towns, Rudy Gobert, and Jaden McDaniels, costing them a cool $95 million on the cap sheet. But hold on, when Karl and Ant's max salaries kick in next season, they're looking at a hefty $155 million for 4 players. Add in Naz Reid's contract, and they're cruising into luxury tax territory. The NBA's tightening its grip on expensive teams, and the Wolves owners might not be too keen on shelling out millions for a second-round exit team. So the obvious move? Trade Karl-Anthony Towns. Now, before you raise your eyebrows, think about it. He's been great. But Ant is untouchable, and Gobert would fetch a less than stellar return given what they paid for him. Now, the front office has a tough job reshaping this roster around Anthony Edwards, but we've got faith. The track record of building championship teams. He did it with the Nuggets, making them a big, tall, long team before it was cool. He brought that same philosophy to the Timberwolves, signing big Kyle Anderson and prioritizing the lengthy Jaden McDaniels in the Gobert trade. But here's the rub. Ant's development might be the one thing holding them back. Teams aren't used to shooting over these giant players, but until Ant hits his stride, it might be too late for the current squad. Enter the Miami Heat, a team in desperate need of their #1 player. Jimmy Butler's chasing that ring, and there's a player the Heat could trade for that might just change their fortune. What's next for the Timberwolves? Well, it's a mystery. So, comment down your thoughts below. And don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Until next time, see ya!